Committee to order. I'd like to start off calling on my good friend, the peach farmer from Lower Alto, if he otherwise known as LA. Would you mind starting us off with a prayer?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Y'all bow with me. Father God, thank you for this day and thank you for this beautiful weather you've given us. And Lord, just thank you for all the folks here today in this Ag Committee and the people here who are coming to hear the bills and the things that we put forward. Lord, just be with us and help us to be mindful of your will and every decision that we make, and go with us as we go our separate ways this afternoon. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Senator. All righty. We're going to start off here with another great American peach farmer from the state of Georgia, and my counterpart and longtime friend, the chairman of the House Ag Committee, Representative Dickey. The floor is yours, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you having me today. We've got a lot of good things going on today.
Yes, sir.
All ag, and I got my ag peach tie on, Senator Eccleston, so glad to be here. I bring you House Bill 495, LC 443087S. I hope that's the same. This bill is a little bit about helping rural Georgia, and we've had a great Center for Rural Prosperity and Innovation for the last 8 years, and this bill does one thing and one thing really only. It's been attached to ABAC and USG, and we're simply moving it over to the Department of Ag. We're keeping the same board structure. Those type things did not really change anything, but just the attachment over to the Department of Ag. You can see on lines 18 through 28 is really the meat of exactly what the bill does. And there on 19, transferred from the University System of Georgia to the Department of Ag, and that is really it. The center is small, only has 3 employees. It has its own budget line item that will move with it over to the Department of Ag. And you can see in the House budget that's come to y'all, it's $2.4 million this year. It's been 1.25, so it's the center has done a lot with a small amount of money. And I'd love to, some of y'all that are not familiar with it, I'd love to tell you just a little bit about it. We passed HB 951 in 2018 to create it. And its focus was the well-being and prosperity for rural Georgia. And it's done exemplary work, really leveraging a small amount of money, but a lot amount of energy to help our small counties, our small communities, small business in rural Georgia to try to get them to succeed. It's done research, analysis, policy advisory, and preparing, securing, administrating grants for these rural communities. A lot of those don't have the expertise to apply for a lot of grants, don't have the knowledge and the personnel in place to help. So this center has helped with that, not only in South Georgia, but also North Georgia. They're funding economic development initiatives, workforce housing, workforce transportation, hospitality, feasibility studies for communities, hospital planning studies, worked on the Georgia Grown Highway designations and marketing, community planning, municipal websites. It's really found a niche, really helping communities wherever it is, and so that is really kind of what the center has been doing. We want to ensure that it continues on in a successful pathway, and just thought things would be a better fit. We've talked to all parties involved. Commissioner Harper is looking forward to it, and so it would. That is what the bill does. What I'd like to see pass. Happy to answer any questions.
Good deal. Do we have any questions from members of the committee? So, here you go. Senator Walker.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, how are you?
Good to
Mr.
see you. We started early today together.
Right.
Will this still be located in Tifton, or is that
Yeah.
not in code, I guess?
No, it's not in code. They have been renting space there, also space in North Georgia at one of the technical schools, I believe, or one of the centers. So they'll still need some office space, but it's been pretty minimum. It'll be up to
The
it's
board,
kind
I
of
guess.
director where to locate actual people and whatever. I will tell you that the director will be subject to the approval of the Rural Development Council board, just like it's always been, but then will be recommended by the Commissioner of Agriculture.
Can I ask one more? Is there any aspect of this that relates to, I guess I'm more looking at the funding portion of this. Are we kind of consolidating maybe some economic development?
Yes, and I think I know where you're going. It does have some overlap with our regional commissions, with Department of Ag, Mr. Harper. My conversation with him, he's excited about maybe interacting some of his initiatives in there. We have Department of Economic Development certainly has a responsibility for economic development for rural Georgia as well. But I think this
It'll
center
kind of break down some of the silos and have them all pulling in the same direction, maybe.
Yes, sir.
I'm hoping.
This center in the 8 years or 6 years it's been working is really cut across lines and really found a great niche and a great need in rural Georgia. So I just hope we can continue this on, continue with the funding amount. It's really leverages a lot of other money to flow with it. So
Thank you for your leadership on this.
Is that Senator Sims? Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. One question, does the FY, I guess, 26 budget already reflect the growth and changes that are coming about? And we've gone from, what did you say, what was the number, 1 point something to
Yeah.
2 point?
thank you for the question, and you're absolutely right. The House budget passed over to y'all does anticipate this move.
Okay.
And we actually put some more money with it.
Good.
So hope you'll see fit to whatever the will of the Senate is on that.
All right. We have the good senator from Colquitt County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to say I supported the bill and was part of the creation of this way back, serving on the House Rural Development Council, and I think they do really good work and are very rural focused, and we need that desperately in our rural areas. So greatly appreciate the bill and would love to see it to continue on. So be glad to make a motion when you're ready, Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time.
All righty. Are there any more questions from members of the committee? Senator Watson.
Do pass House Bill 495 LC 443087S.
All righty. We have a motion do pass from Senator Watson and a second from Senator Anderson. Is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, and I'm going to do like Miss Rachel tells me to do, raise your hand and say aye. All right. Two things at one time. Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thanks, Chairman. Thank you, members
Thank
of
you.
the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you. Chairman Dickey. Who's going to carry it for you in the Senate?
I haven't even thought about that. I hate to tell you that. Can I consult
Sam.
with you?
Yeah.
Sam? Huh?
You be good with it, Sam?
Since Senator Watson was instrumental. I think it'd be very appropriate for him to.
I agree
carry it.
100%, Mr. Chairman.
Good deal.
All right, thank you.
Senator.
All right, thank you. All righty. I don't know, who's next? Is it Anthony? All right, Representative Hagan. You're next. I'm sorry that I don't have any walk-up music, but. All righty, let's see here. You have House Bill 390. The committee has seen this bill before. And if I'm not mistaken, this bill passed out of the House, passed out of this committee, and just didn't make it on sine die. Is that not correct? Okay.
I know y'all are abundantly busy with excellent bills and just don't have time to pull this one on the last year, so hopefully we can fix that this year.
Well, I think I appreciate you. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. That's why Rachel, she has to keep me straight. But thank you for bringing it. And we've got some new members of the committee that may not be familiar with it. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm sorry, did you say the LC number? I've got it.
I did
LC
not.
442976 is the one that we're working with. And it's, I think, exactly the same as the one that we had in here last year. This bill encourages small business growth and entrepreneurship by opening up a new delivery stream for our licensed cottage food operators in our state. Currently, this program is administered by the Department of Agriculture. I did work with them for several months on this previously to make sure that it worked for them and it was also working for our cottage food operators so they could expand their businesses. Currently, they are allowed to sell directly to a consumer. This bill opens up a new delivery stream so that they can sell via a third party, like a grocery store or a restaurant. So it opens up the ability for them to get their products in front of more people. And I would remind you, and especially for those that are new, we're talking about not potentially hazardous foods. So the only foods that a cottage food operator are allowed to produce are those that are considered not potentially hazardous. So they don't have to have refrigeration in order to not grow botulism and other toxins. So we're talking about safe products, and we want to get them into the hands of more consumers so that we can expand these businesses. Since these operations are not considered food service establishments, we did include in this bill a good bit of language that would require signage, labeling, and also locating these products in a separate section of a store or display so that consumers would be very clear about what they're purchasing. We know people have certain expectations in a food service establishment as far as inspections, as far as what is inspected and the scheduling of that. It's different with cottage food operator kitchens, and so we just wanted to make sure that since this bill would open up that delivery stream where the producer was not selling directly to the consumer, that consumer would have the ability to understand clearly that these are from a cottage food kitchen and not a food service establishment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if I could.
We have any questions from members of the committee? I have one. Well, we're lighting up, Representative Hagan. I don't know. Oh, my Lord. We're going to start off with Chairman Anderson.
Hello, Representative. Thank you for bringing this bill. Safety. Is it will the Ag Department inspect each business or?
Right now, and this bill wouldn't change that, it's up to the Department of Ag to set those standards as far as their inspection goes. But yes, they absolutely retain the right to and responsibility to make sure these kitchens are safe and they can inspect.
And
Yes.
Another question, you touched on it some, but labeling. Will everything be labeled basically like a finished product would be in a grocery store or a restaurant? I mean, where you would buy
Similarly, yes. It wouldn't be exactly, since it's not, it's a different program, but starting on page 4, we lay out pretty specifically what would be required on the labeling of these products, including the contact information for the cottage food operator, so if there were questions, they could answer them. Making sure that in at least 10.5, that it states clearly that the product was produced at a residential property that is exempt from state inspection. That doesn't mean they're exempt from inspection from the Department of Ag, but inspected in a way that is different from what would come out of your typical commercial kitchen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Senator Eccles.
So I have a couple questions. I'm good with this. I think it encourages entrepreneurship and expands opportunities with small farms and things like that, farmers markets, and get them into retail establishments. But is there? I was looking at the definition. So there's no dollar amount. Like if you hit if you hit $100,000, then you no longer qualify to be a.
No, sir.
Okay, and there's nothing about the number of employees.
No, there is nothing about the number of employees. I don't know that there is actually an allowance for a certain number of employees, but whatever is currently established practice with the Department of Ag wouldn't be changed from that regard to this bill.
I like this. Seriously, I like this a lot. The only thing that would hold me back is if this, it could get out of hand in a good way, though. I mean, we want to encourage people to do this, but what we don't want them to do is to put in a bakery, full-fledged bakery in their house on Main Street with 10 employees in there that's
Yes.
making, $1 million a year.
Understood.
So
And I don't think that could happen in this case. For example, if a homeowner, this has to occur in their home, their residential kitchen. So even if they put in a commercial kitchen in their backyard, they would no longer qualify to be a licensed cottage food operator. So I understand your concern there, but I don't think that is something that currently.
Well, I think
happens?
there's some people already doing it.
You think so?
Yes, I do. But I think this is up to the commissioner. If they're good with this, I'm
Yes.
good with this. We just got to watch that.
Right, he is good with this. I spoke with him again this year after we dropped it again. Last year, I think he sat next to me when I presented. So they're on board with this,
Right.
and I verified with them this year that they still were.
I think it's good. It's good for young people starting farming, all the things.
I think there are a lot of single parents who have young children at home but are looking for an income stream for themselves, and their home kitchen is their only asset that they have. They come up with a good idea and they try it there. I think this is just at the core of entrepreneurship. You get an idea, you use what you have, you get your license to make sure you're operating safely, and it opens up an opportunity for people who may otherwise not be able to become small business owners to get their product in front of people and take that chance. And then if they're successful, I imagine they would want to invest in a commercial kitchen or a shared kitchen so that they could expand. But and I checked with the Department of Ag on this last year, and they said that pretty much all of us have got these licensed operators in our districts. And I don't know if y'all have got any emails about it, but I have been contacted by people since I introduced this bill wanting to sell their popcorn balls everywhere, and they can get them on the shelf. So I think it'll encourage a lot of business growth for a lot of people.
I think about Dot's Pretzels out in North Dakota. She started out making pretzels in her kitchen and turned that thing into a huge business, and then sold it, and now she's like Forrest Gump when he got that letter from the fruit company. She doesn't have to worry about money anymore. Senator Sims. I'm sorry. Go.
Just, I don't even know if I can talk, but just to ask, who's going to monitor? You said this will be done through the Ag Department.
It'll continue to be done through the Department of Ag.
Do we have a representative from the department here?
I don't think, we do. Could she come up and?
Please do. Yeah.
Sorry.
We've got Miss Catherine Russell coming up, who is the brains over there.
No. No, I must warn you all that I'm not as well versed in cottage food as some of the other areas, but I have been texting with our staff, trying to make sure that we're ready and able to answer some of your questions. And I guess to that end, Senator Eccles, I actually just was requesting, okay, what do we know about people who are potentially working at scale? And so within our rules and regulations, there's already a requirement that, you can't gut your kitchen and put in a bunch of industrial equipment. So it has to still be like a residential, like one oven.
There you go.
I apologize.
No, you're good. It's just,
Okay.
yeah.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I didn't mean that. I promise.
Well, it was a good question.
I get it.
And if we think that there are people operating outside of the regulations, we would like to know. So maybe we have a follow-up conversation. Okay.
So, I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Ms. Russell. How do we anticipate, and I guess that's maybe later on down the road if we get the bill passed, monitoring, because it's so wide open?
So the cottage food program is much, much narrower than our regular food service programs is. And so what you're looking at is it doesn't have the same kind of oversight because it has to be non-hazardous foods. And so there's not as much opportunity for things to go awry. It's a pretty narrow list. I think actually jellies and jams I think they might actually be removed from the list. I'll have to contact our folks, but it's a pretty stringent group. Anything with, if you're considering moisture content levels or, anything that could potentially go bad is not going to be considered a cottage food.
All righty, we've got Senator Walker.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Hagan, good job on this bill. I just wanted to be sure I'm reading it right, and I think this kind of goes back to some of the comments and questions made earlier. If the cottage food and business in a residence grows and they have 10 employees and a lot of traffic and cars and all that stuff, it looks like to me you've sort of addressed that, but I want your confirmation here in lines 131 through 145. It would still be subject to local ordinance. I mean, where I live, we have a historic downtown district, and the city's very strict about businesses operating out of homes in the downtown district because of traffic concerns and other concerns and neighbors raising Cain and all that kind of thing. So.
Right. This does not in any way conflict with local ordinances as far as parking or street travel in any way. In fact, this is just my side note. I think if you were having pickups and deliveries at a home where there's a licensed cottage food operator, allowing them to sell their products at a retail location instead of having to sell directly to the consumer might actually alleviate some of those concerns. But no, this does not preempt any local ordinance as far as traffic or
That
parking
gives me
go.
great comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Senator Estevez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, great bill.
Thank you.
It helps small businesses. Colleagues, I provided y'all with some pound cake earlier in session. That was from a cottage kitchen. You missed it. You missed out on good pound cake. So appreciate you bringing this bill. And Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion.
All righty. I think it is the appropriate time.
I move do pass on LC 442976.
All right, we have a motion do pass. Do we have a second? Who seconded? Second, Senator Kemp, second. Okay. Any further discussion?
I just
Oh, all right, we have Senator Anderson. Go
You
ahead.
know, more I'm sitting here and more I'm thinking about it. Our mothers and our grandmamas was already the cottage.
That's exactly right.
They just didn't sell it. They gave it away. But we do like your bill. It is a opportunity for small business, and that's what we're here for, to help any of our small businesses. Thank you.
Senator.
Is it anywhere in the bill where you cannot make blueberry pie and
It's hidden in the bill. Just kidding there. All righty, we have a motion do pass, and we have a second. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Yeah, all right, motion, bill passes unanimously
Thank
on
you.
the Rules Committee.
Thank you
So,
very
thank you, Representative Hagan. We appreciate you. Your Senate sponsor.
Remains to be seen. Are you Senator Watson's reluctantly saying that he'll carry it for me.
Well, wait a minute there we go.
I have 4 daughters at home, and I hope maybe they'll start to cook something in the kitchen, maybe, because their mother doesn't. So maybe
Oh,
we
no.
can.
I don't want any part of that conversation.
So I guess Sam's going to be staying in the apartment year round now. Senator Watson. You know that Senator Watson and I have been friends since college, and so
Are you still?
when I first began serving as chairman of this committee, I made the mistake and called him Sambo from here. So you can't do that kind of stuff, because that's what I call him. All righty, we've got one
Thank
more
you,
bill.
committee.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Catherine, for being here. We now have there's Representative Kemp. Come on. And let's see here. You have House Bill 331,
I do.
and you're working off of LC 44-310
I'm working off of
8S. Is that right?
3108.
3108.
3108S.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, I thought you said A somewhere in there. You had
I
it
said
wrong.
310-8S.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's
The
been a
floor
long
is.
day for committee day. Thank you so much for hearing this bill. This bill to me is a consumer protection bill first and foremost. And secondly and importantly, it also is an animal protection bill. There are individuals throughout our state and that come from other states that sell animals. Oftentimes they sell these dog, cats, and rabbits for nefarious reasons. They are sometimes organized crime. I was just reading where the Department of Agriculture in January came in Pierce County and seized 134 dogs that were in deplorable condition. And these individuals do not allow people to come to where these dogs live because they don't want anyone to see where these animals live because they're living in deplorable substandard conditions for anything that's alive. So this bill is one that gives some narrow limits on when you have consideration for an animal. So if someone's giving away an animal, this does not apply, but when consideration and oftentimes the rehoming fees that people claim to ask for, that's consideration. Doesn't matter what you call it. If you're exchanging money, it's consideration. So in this case, you can do transfers at your home, your place of business, a veterinarian's office, police department or sheriff's office, an FFA, 4-H, or AKC event, or a location stipulated by the Department of Agriculture, or if you have a license from the Department of Agriculture to sell animals. You just have to adhere to whatever the license is. So this actually gives a little more flexibility for some, but hopefully it's going to stop the people who are doing wrong. Because when these animals are purchased by someone and they think it's going to be a little bitty mini teacup dog and it ends up being a giant dog, or the dog is sick because they claim the dog's gone to the vet and the dog's never gone anywhere and has parvo or some other communicable disease, these dogs oftentimes end up getting dumped. And they get dumped at animal shelters, which cost our counties money every single day. And it's just heartbreaking. So this bill is simply doing that. It does mention clearly on the third page the fines that are available, and it's $100 for the first offense, $250 for the second, and $500 for the third. We took out another section that was in the bill originally in the House that was like, well, if you do it one time, it's the $100. We combine those. So if you sell one puppy, it's $100. The second puppy is $250. The third is $500. It does say that maximum, which was already in code, was $1,000 for each violation, but it puts some teeth into it, and it allows local law enforcement and code enforcement to actually do something when they find someone doing the wrong thing and selling these animals roadside or at flea markets or other locations.
Good deal. Do we have any questions from members of the committee? Oh, we have a question. Chairman Anderson.
Representative, great bill. The fine money, what does it go, who does it go to?
My understanding is the fine money would go to the municipality who is laundering the fine, or it would be the Department of Agriculture if the Department of Agriculture inspector catches them. So it's whoever issues a citation.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong on that, Catherine's still here. Am I wrong on it, Catherine? Catherine Russell, the Georgia Department of Agriculture. And I would like to thank them. They were wonderful. They met with me on an afternoon, and we spent a lot of time discussing. So if she'd like to speak to that.
We have to, just for the sake of whatever you want to call it, we've got to get you on record where we can hear you. For posterity, that was the word I was trying to look for. Go ahead, Catherine.
Sure. Catherine Russell, Department of Agriculture. If there are fines that are collected by the Department of Agriculture, we remit those back to the general fund. We get to keep very, very few of those fees and fines. So just wanted to be clear that we are not collecting and then holding them for our own use.
All right, good deal. If we don't have any further questions, what's the will of the committee?
Make a motion to pass.
Second.
All righty, we have a motion do pass from Senator Anderson and a second from Senator Walker. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All right, passes unanimous. Who's going to carry the bill for you?
I do not know that either.
Okay,
and I'm
well,
the third in a row that's told you that, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
thank you
much.
for bringing
Thank
it.
you,
And
committee.
Ms. Russell, thank you for coming up and providing. We've got one more item on the agenda before y'all leave. Thank you for bringing that bill. We have an appointment to the Propane Association Board, the Southeastern Propane Association Board. This is a reappointment, and I'm sure I'm going to mess this up, but you have the bio of Mr. Is it Mizell? I believe it's how it's pronounced. But he, the folks from the association, he would like to serve again. I have not had anyone reach out to me who is interested in serving, but you've got the bio there in your folder. So, sir.
He's not here.
No, sir. And there were the folks from the Propane Association were going to be here, and I don't know where they're at. But anyway, I spoke to them earlier in the Capitol. But we've got to renominate this. I think we have to open nominations. Isn't that correct? How we have to do it, Senator Mary? Okay, we're going to open nominations. Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Tyler.
Oh, what number, Senator?
5.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Tyler Mizell for Propane Board.
Second. Are there any other, seconded from Senator Eccles, are there any other nominations?
Motion. Close.
Okay, Senator Anderson makes the motion to close nominations. All in favor of reappointing Mr. Mizell to the Propane Association Board, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. That was, I'm sure that was probably ugly, but it got the job done, did it not, Miss Mary? All righty, thank you. Thank you all for being here, and this meeting's adjourned.